Hello YouTube, what is going on? This is Joakim Comic Center, and it is finally here. The graphic novel collection that you've all been asking for, and that has sadly been delayed for about 3 or 4 months, is finally completed, and it's now here for you to watch and enjoy, if however you want to watch this almost 2 hour long of a video. But I hope you do, and I hope you liked it, and I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. So, starting off with the first shelf, we have the Vertigo line, and starting off with Animal Man by Grant Morrison, which is of course a essential read for me, and it's just awesome. Something that I haven't started reading yet is Ex Machina by Brian K. Vaughan. Of course, Why the Last Man and Saga is what it's known for nowadays, but don't think I ever would have read this if it wasn't for the omnibus, so someday. Also, something that I thought I never would read was the iZombie omnibus. Just because of a TV show, I went ahead and bought it, and there are very many differences between the show and this. Basically, just the basic premise is what the show really took away from this series. Then we have, of course, probably the nicest books that are in my collection, the Sandman omnibus by Neil Gaiman. And whenever this video is posted, we are about to, or we now have, a third volume of the Sandman, which I'm picking up. Then we have Ed Brubaker stuff, Sleeper omnibus. I think this is out of print now. And then we have Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo's 100 Bullets. Another great Vertigo title. And more Neil Gaiman stuff like Books of Magic and Death. And in between it is Day Tripper by Fabio Moon. And then we have Brian Wood, which writes many political titles, I would say, or stories. And DMZ is definitely one, with the whole no man's land of Manhattan and everything. But a really good read. And then starting off right here to the corner is Fables, the first 3 volumes in the oversized deluxe edition. And the next shelf is basically all of the rest of Fables, volumes 4 up to 15. Each and every one of them, I could pick anyone here, I believe. And they all have these gorgeous wraparound covers all around them. And it's one of the best reads that I've had within this hobby. Then we have Grant Morrison's Invisibles in the oversized deluxe edition, and then another miniseries of his, Kid Eternity, the deluxe edition by Grant Morrison. And by the last bookshelf for the first row, we have Grant Morrison, Kill Your Boyfriend and Vimanorama deluxe edition. And then we have Jason Aaron's Scalped, volumes 1 to 5. A complete set of story, and I think I finished reading this within 2 or 3 days, because this was awesome. It's about the Indian nation group and everything, and FBI agents undercover trying to take down a mob boss, and it's just a good crime story. Then we have Jeff Lemire's Sweet Tooth, volumes 1 to 3 in the oversized deluxe editions, collecting the whole series. I believe that volume 1 is signed and sketched by Jeff Lemire. Almost said Jason Aaron there. Then we have Why the Last Man, Brian K. Vaughan, of course. Still, since Saga isn't done yet, this is still the best thing that I read from Brian K. Vaughan, and that includes Runaways. Still think Why the Last Man is better than that. And then we have some standard sized hardcovers. We have The Dark Knight by Eduardo Rizzo and Paul Dini. Actually a great sort of documentary almost, or at least his view perspective of the mugging of him. The Millennium Trilogy, The Girl with Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Played with Fire, and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. So based on a Swedish book novel series. And then of course Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon's Preacher. I still have only had one read of this, but it has been one of the best. And I'm very much looking forward to reread this someday. Then we have Liebermayo Suiciders, just a volume 1 unfortunately, and it made good promise, but I don't think we'll see another volume of this. And last but not least, for this row, is the tiny paperback of We Free by Grant Morrison, and it is heartbreaking to read, but a really good read at that. Next up is the Image titles, and mostly oversized deluxe hardcovers. We have Alex and Ada, the completed deluxe edition. Really flat artwork, but a really good story that evens that out. And yeah, it was a good read. I think I read the whole thing in one sitting. Then we have an old whale out there, the Aphrodite 9 complete deluxe edition. I would say the first stories that was made in the early 2000s are good. The artwork is different. It's digital mostly. Is better than the later story arc drawn by David Finch. That probably was published somewhere in the 90s. Then we have a title that I never thought I would like this much, but it's The Big Heart Sex Criminals by Matt Fraction and Zipserdarsky. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I don't know what it is, but I really like the characters within this title. I actually cared for them and want to read more, and think they'll hopefully wrap it up within 1 or 2 more hardcover volumes. Then we have Chew, the Omnibus editions. So I think that's the easiest way to pick them up, unless you go paperback route. Because you of course also have the Smorgasbord edition, but I settled for the standard size deluxe editions. Then we have another Jeff Lemire book, Sender, volume 1, and I think we're gonna have one more volume just to wrap up that series within this format. And then of course Jonathan Hickman's East and West, year 1 and year 2. And I believe that I have the standard editions when it comes to covers, because we also published variants for both of them. And then we have 5 Ghosts, volume 1. Never heard anything more about they publishing a volume 2. And Happy by, yet again, Grant Morrison. And if it wasn't for Batman, or if it wasn't for Grant Morrison's Batman run, I don't think I ever would pick up as many Grant Morrison's books as I have. And then we have Scotty Young, I Hate Fairyland. And this is volume 1 out of 2, because I think the series has wrapped up now, with 20 issues in total. And then of course the best drama series since The Amazing Spider-Man, basically. Invincible, in the Ultimate Collection format, and all 12 volumes here, collecting the whole run by Robert Kirkman, the man behind The Walking Dead. Cannot say enough good things about the series, but each and every one of these volumes took less than a day to read, of course, and maybe more. I read more in just one day, because it's so well written. It's like when you open up a page and you see word bubbles everywhere, basically you get a little, oh, this very much to read, but no, you want to have all that dialogue. It's the same interpretation you get when you open up a Bendis book. Yeah, it's a lot of dialogue, but it's good dialogue. And then we have by Greg Rucka, Lazarus, volumes 1 and 2, and I think the series is on hiatus right now, but just want to get more of that as well. And that's the first row for the Image books. And in the midsection here we have the complete series of Luther Strode, and another Jonathan Hickman titled The Manhattan Project, which I really liked. I picked it up in paperback originally, and I don't know where this series went, but want to have at least one more volume so we can wrap this up. I don't, if they ever did. And then we have my guilty pleasure, which is Morning Glories, volumes 1, 2, and 3, and the deluxe size editions. These are beautiful as well. The hardcovers looks like almost like yearbooks or something. And I think I've done overviews out of several out of these series that are on playlists on my channel, so you can go check them out. But yeah, Morning Glories is so good. In my opinion, it does have a kind of a Lost TV show problem with it, and that's good cliffhangers all around, but very few answers to half of the cliffhangers. And then we have, moving on, Nailbiter, the Murder Edition, volumes 1 and 2, and hardcovers. And Nameless by Grant Morrison, which is like a space sci-fi horror story. And more horror aspect things, I guess. Robert Kirkman's Outcast. It's like how Robert Kirkman would do The Exorcist. And we have Brian K. Vaughan's Paper Girls, which we of course want more of, and is gonna get this spring, I believe, with a second hardcover. And Peter Panzerfaust Deluxe Edition, Volume 1. We never completed this in the oversized edition, so if you want to read the whole story, you have to pick up the paperback. Then we have Rat Queens Deluxe Edition. At the moment that I'm recording this, I'm actually waiting for a second hardcover. And then we have Purdy, which was a gift from a friend, and he has told me that I can't sell this, so you can have it. And I just took it. I have no idea what it's about and why I would have problem selling it, but reading it, I guess I would know. So yeah, that's a mid-shelf. And here we have almost all of the rest of the Image titles. And first we have Reborn here by Mark Miller and Greg Capullo. Don't know if they're gonna do more things of this, but it says book 1, so we'll see. Then we have Revival, another one of the great Image titles that came out all in one go. I mean, we had Revival, Saga, and Chew, all of those stuff published at the same time, and they were all awesome. And I'm so glad that this has wrapped up within these 4 deluxe size editions, and it was truly a great read. Also have an overview out of most of these hardcovers on the channel. And then of course Saga. I think I mentioned Saga 3 times already, and we haven't even gotten to it until now. But this is the deluxe edition, collecting the first 3 paperbacks within it, and the second one's collecting the volumes 4, 5, and 6. And we have 9 paperbacks published for now, so we do have material enough for a third deluxe edition to come out soon, but they haven't solicited yet. Then we have another Ed Brubaker book and Steve Epting, Velvet. So it's the same team as in Captain America by Ed Brubaker, or at least for some of the story arcs. And it was a good spy read. Then we have Wayward by Jim Sub and Steve Cummings. And it's sort of the X-Men on Japan. Something like that. Kids with abilities, it's basically what it is. And we're gonna have a third hardcover to wrap up this series. And then we have Wicked plus the Divine, also waiting for a third volume of this. I think I've ordered it. And yeah, not much to show on the cover there, but great series. And actually liked it a lot better the second time around I read it. Then we have Seven Bastards by Jason Aaron. So yet another culture group that he is writing about. Scalp was about Indian tribes and everything. So yeah, Southerners. And we haven't seen a second solicit for another hardcover book. But then again, they are self-publishing, so I guess they'll make it whenever they want to. And then we have Top Cow. A very underrated company, I would say. And the glory of the 90s, I believe. I wish that I would have read these when they came out originally. But we have Rising Stars Compendium by J. Michael Straczynski. I think this is inspired the Heroes TV show at some point. And then we have, of course, The Darkness and The Witchblade hardcover compendium volumes, 1 and 2 of each. And this took all of my luck this year to get a hold of, I think. And so glad for it. Witchblade compendiums did not hold up in the binding as good as the Darkness ones. And I actually liked the Darkness stories better than the Witchblade, and I never thought that, because I'm tempted to lean against the Witchblade artwork and everything. No figure. But yeah. Good story, good artwork. Meh story. Just laying it out there. Then we have paperbacks in my collection. I don't really want to see them, but the stories are so good. Oops, sorry, bumped the camera there. But these stories are good enough, and good enough interest for me to read it. So whenever I want that, I pick it up in paperback. Otherwise, I try to get the hardcover. So I Killed Giants by Joe Kelly. And then we have 3 volumes out of Nick Spencer's Morning Glories. As I told you, I want to read as much as I can out of that series. And then I don't know how I'll ever defend The Pro. It's just a funny read. It's a prostitute with superpowers, goddammit. And then we have the 6 latest volumes out of Saga. So the latest one that I picked up was, of course, Volume 9. And then farthest to right here is Spawn Compendium in black and white artwork. So, third row, and here we have the last image titles, which is The Walking Dead by Robert Kirkman, of course, and I chose to buy them in the compendium size, so it's the quickest way to catch up on the series, as well as the slowest one to keep up with the series. So, depends on your perspective of how much Walking Dead you want to read each month. But yeah, moving on, we have IDW. And these are titles that I thought I never would pick up, just because they publish so many hardcover books out of them, and I thought I never would get a hold of them. But yeah, starting off with The Cape by Joe Hill. And then we go straight into the big ones, and that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ongoing series, with these beautiful, beautiful hardcover books, and with covers out of basically all of the big characters appearing within the series. So, of course, with the latest volume, at least the one that I have, we finally got a cover with Mikey on it. And yeah, it's an awesome series, and hope as many people as possible can read it and will. Then we have IDW Transformers Collection. So we have 2 phases here. Phase 1 here with 8 volumes, and then phase 2 here continuing with 7 more volumes. And still ongoing. And yeah, covers Decepticons and Autobots. I think I prefer the covers for the phase 2 generation books. A little more color. And of course, great stories overall. Moving on. And as you can see, for the mid-shelf of this row, I actually have some space left for more books. That's good to know. And the final titles for IDW, The Underwater Welder by Jeff Lemire. I do think this is published by IDW, otherwise I've misplaced this. And then we have Joe Hill, Lock and Key. And it's in standard size format. It just matches up with the 2 miniseries that they made, or based on one-shots, basically. But I like it. wished that I had the slipcase for the 6 hardcover volumes. But all in all, these books looks all beautiful on their own, so I'm happy with it. And it's, of course, like everything else, a great read. That's why I keep the books. Here we have a bunch of different publishing companies, and I can't even pronounce the half of them. But I do know the titles, and that's good enough for now. We have SpongeBob Comics, the Treasure Chest edition. And this is something that I actually want to do an overview of, because it's awesome. And it has a great sense of humor to it. It makes comments on both, of course, the underworld they live in, and we also feature Barnacle Boy and Mermaid Man, which makes a great parody out of Aquaman, basically. See if I can get this back. And I actually might do an overview of that if somebody would be interested. Then we have, from Jess Bragg's recommendation, of course, I think he recommended this to everyone, that is Irredeemable, and rightfully so. It is a fantastic series, collected within these 5 oversized deluxe editions. I would say oversized because these are taller than a regular deluxe size edition. So Boom Studios makes a little taller books, and that you can tell by the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers deluxe editions, which I don't think I owned any of in the last collection video, and they are a beautiful addition as well to the collection. Love these bright colored books, and I only want more of them, but the market is terrible with them because the supply and demand question involved. Then we have a great game passion of mine years ago, back now, the Assassin's Creed hardcovers. So here we have 2 trilogies that just take place in between, during and after certain video games. And never thought I would own anything actually steampunk related or English Victorian theme, but here we have Lady Mechanica, volumes 1, 2, and 3. And they're actually really nice books, nice artwork, and most important, good story. Then we have some more Brubaker stuff, and Sean Phillips. Same team as Sleeper, so we have Incognito, and then the 2 volumes of Criminal, which was really good read, really good story, and would love to see a TV show of that if the manuscript was the exact same as in the comics, because that's the best part. Mark Miller's Kick-Ass, we have Kick-Ass 1, the prelude with Hit Girl, Kick-Ass 2 and 3. Still prefer the first movie overall, I think. And then more steampunk stuff. Oh, you can see the shelf here starting to buckle. Lantern City. A complete set, just like that. Published by Archaea. Terry Moore, I think this is my one and only Terry Moore book as of now. Rachel Rising. But I am interested in picking up Strangers in Paradise just because that's his big book, I guess. But we'll see whenever we get time to that. 2 Wizard Entertainment hardcover books. These are just for study of just watching old Jim Lee artwork and sketches, and I love every type of like documentary on my favorite artists. So these have some sketches going back to the 80s, I think, of his. Just couldn't find the right page there, but we have one of Mark Silvestri as well. And yeah, really glad that I got a hold of that Jim Lee one. Then we have Oni Press, the paperback editions of, or I think they only have published this in paperback, but this deserves a deluxe sized editions like the 6-gun ones. The Bunker by Joshua Fialkov, I want to say. And yeah, feature this all of the paperbacks here, as you can see, kind of sort of line up to make this big picture. I think the camera can take it up. Yeah, and it is a time travel story, and I am a sucker for time travel, basically. And last but not least, we have some Star Wars books published by Dark Horse. So, Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison, and the Dark Empire trilogy, which is a very old book, and a paperback omnibus of a complete saga. It's not really complete anymore, but it collects the serial issues of episodes 1 to 6. Oh, and I skipped over the Love Hurts complete trade paperback editions by Kim W. Anderson, which is a Swedish comic book writer and artist. And I have this in an oversized deluxe edition now, but I want to have the manuscript in English because I do prefer reading it all in English. And then just some small paperbacks. Avatar: The Last Airbender, Lost Adventures. Just small stories taking place in between, during, and after episodes on each and every season. And then Transformers: The War Within omnibus. And next up is the manga books. So here we have the manga shelf, the first one, and I don't know how I'm trying to organize this. I guess by size and company, and then it just goes haywire with the different Attack on Titan stuff that I have. But yes, starting off, we have the I Am Hero omnibus editions, volumes 1 to 7. Great zombie story, and just want more of it, and we're gonna get at least 5 more volumes to complete the series. And then we have the Death Note all-in-one edition, and yes, you can read it in this way. It's like a Bible, but it actually holds up. And the spine looks fine. So you have my recommendations, at least, to pick up the all-in-one edition. And next to Death Note, we have the shonen books, basically. And first off, Food Wars, first 11 volumes, and I want so much more of it. It's just, I buy other stuff as well, as you might know. And great series. It has even inspired me to cook some of these things myself in the kitchen. I don't know how many times I made the fake pork roast from the very first episode, but just gets better and better. And yeah, then we have My Hero Academia, first 15 volumes I own, and that's basically what's out right now as of filming this video. But it's a great series, waiting for season 4 to come out, and the same thing for Food Wars, waiting for season 4 of the anime to come out. Yeah, because these are both great series and I want to add more of it. Yeah, going on with the rest of the manga. And on this shelf, as you can see, the latest volume published, My Hero Academia, volume 15. And then we start with One Punch Man and end with volume 14. Another great anime series that I was very late on getting into. Actually started with reading the manga before watching the anime show, and glad I did. It's good. It's a good action comic or manga, and easy to transcend into from reading a lot of American comic books, I would say. And then start off the Yu-Gi-Oh! 3-in-1 volumes. So here we have the first 2 volumes, and the next row is gonna be all Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, as I told you, next shelf, all Yu-Gi-Oh! And we also have a Yami-Yugi statue that I haven't gotten rid of, just because it looks nice with these books, doesn't it? We'll take it away for now. The last volumes of the original Yu-Gi-Oh series, and I do actually believe, in my own honesty, that these are the only Yu-Gi-Oh books that I'm not gonna sell off at some point, because unlike all of the other spin-off series, including Yu-Gi-Oh! R, which takes place somewhere in between all of this, these actually has a message and a good overall story. When all of these others are like big negatives and some kind of twist to what the anime show was they were based on. I don't know why this is such a tongue twister for me to express, but these are not the same as the anime series. They blend the characters' personalities and everything, and makes twists to some of the character traits to them, and I get it, they want to do something new with them, but it also makes kind of distasteful if you already like the characters when they should be a certain way. So probably gonna get more space back by selling Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D volumes, but I'm glad to have read them, as I have been a fan of the anime series and the card game for years back. So we have another row of manga books, and the last of the Yu-Gi-Oh! volumes. Here we have the last volume, the last volume of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Zeal, volumes 1 to 9. I've never known how to pronounce this title. And then we have Ultraman, volumes 1 to 10. And something good with Ultraman is, of course, gorgeous covers that makes you want to buy each and every volume to get you in. But then that there are so many different kinds of Ultraman. Basically anyone can be Ultraman. I think that was the premise of the original TV series in Japan. And the manga books are good. It's a good transcendence from American action comic book heroes, much like One Punch Man. And then we have from Kodansha Comics, I believe the greatest manga that I've ever read. And that's just because I have not read the complete Naruto collection. But I do believe that this goes beyond that, just because I've read as much as I have. That is the 4 Colossal Editions, which collects the first 20 original sized manga books. And I just needed to know what the hell is happening within that world. So I bought the next 5 volumes in standard size editions, just because I could not wait for a 5th Colossal Edition, just because this took way longer than it should have to come out. And now when I know, you should just go and read Attack on Titan. I'm just telling you. I don't want to take away any satisfaction at all out of finding out yourself. Then we have Attack on Titan No Regrets, the complete color edition, a little miniseries of Levi from Attack on Titan. And then we have Attack on Titan Anthology, which is made by American comic book artists and writers, just their interpretations out of the stories and everything. Then another guilty pleasure, I guess, the High School of Dead full color edition omnibus, volumes 1 and 2, and I do not dare take them out of the shelf and show anything, because then somebody might get mad. But something that I can show you, the Full Metal Alchemist hardcovers, volumes 1 and 2, and I think one more volume has been published as of now, and one more on the way. So nice and steady, getting to read much more Full Metal Alchemist, which is my little brother's favorite anime and manga series. So now when it comes out in a format that I prefer, I'm heading on that train and reading it too. And now we're in the mid-shelf, and yet again, something that I really like, we have more shelf space for more books to come. And yeah, I need all the shelf space that I can. So first we have The Hour of the Zombie, Volume 1. I haven't picked up any more volumes of this yet, just because I have not yet read this one. So I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not. But it's here together with Junji Ito's horror mangas. We have Gyo, Tommy, and Uzumaki. And Uzumaki is, of course, in my opinion, the greatest one. Tommy is freaky as hell, and Gyo is weird. It is weird. But you should pick up all of them, just because you shouldn't have to take my word for it. You should read them yourself and be freaked out of each and every one of them. And that's the last 4 of the manga books. Now we have come to a shelf that holds all of my Swedish comic books. And sadly, most of it is published in paperback format, but I take what I can get when it comes to it. And a lot of it is double dipping, I think, because I hold most of these comics in single issue format as well. But there's not much out there in Swedish comic book publishing that I do like, and we've actually lost one more title this year. But more of that later. Starting off with, to the left, we have the works of Kim W. Anderson, Elena, his first published book, and also the cover is based on the movie. And we have another Kickstarter project that I was with on. Is this Astrid? And I believe somewhere here is my name on it. And we also have a signed sketch within it. And we have Love Hurts, deluxe edition, with a small print inside. Just didn't know what to make of it, so keep it in the book. And we have Way, book 1. Don't know when we're gonna get a book 2. And just for the hell of it, just because they looked beautiful, Egmont Publishing published the Batman anthology and a Joker anthology with Alex Ross covers on them. And they just looked beautiful with binding and everything. And they're in Swedish, so I'm probably never gonna read them. Still, more Kickstarter projects. Herman Hedning, I forget what the Swedish translation was of that character, but yeah, these hardcovers, these 3 hardcovers collects all the comic strips from that series and the later on published comic book. And here's Beer Brewing and Bastards. I don't even drink, so I don't know why I own this. Just to get more stuff signed by him, I guess. From a part for dog. We have Rock Manly Fist. It's basically Austin Powers, but more fucked up. More Herman paperbacks, and as you can see, the whole shelf is just collapsing with all the books tilting. Utöver Hage. These titles means nothing to you, but they're all basically satire. They're just funny books. Carpe Diem. But then we have my favorite one, and the books that are tilting over is Elvis, the comic book. And latest pickup was Elvis Very Best Volume 3. And as you can see, they just keep on tilting. All of these books, Elvis. And sadly, that title is now gone. And so will the Herman title, as read the news this week. So, I don't know what's happening to Swedish comic books, but yeah, this is basically all I have right now. So, and now we're on the floor. And with that, we also have the oversized editions from Dark Horse. And I do own much more books from Dark Horse than I ever thought I would. farthest to the left, we have Fear Agent Volumes 1 and 2. You can barely see Volume 2 within the shadows, but it is there. Jerry and the Joker, a book about Jerry Robinson and his story, how he came into the industry and made up the Joker and everything. And actually a book that makes you want to go and pick up the Golden Age omnibus, but I'm never gonna touch that because I know the writing will be horrible for my generation. And then we have Avatar: The Last Airbender, the art books. So here's the complete book for the first Avatar series. Then Legend of Korra got one book for each and every season. And my favorite one is definitely, let's see here, Change. Then we have the Avatar: Last Airbender hardcover volumes, library editions, The Promise, Search, Rift, Smoke and Shadows, and North and South. And the one book that people should pick up is The Search, because you get the answer of where Zuko's mother is, and that's basically all we want to know. Then we have The Massive, Think by Brian Wood. I'm fairly certain it's Brian Wood. It's another political title. And then we have Tomb Raider Archives, volumes 1 to 4. And then the new Tomb Raider by Gail Simone, I would say. And these are co-published by Top Cow, I would say, because the artwork, it's very, very 90s once again. And with that I mean beautiful artwork. And I actually love that series as much as I did Darkness and Witchblade. Then we have some art books. I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan, as I said, but there's so many of these art books out there for the games and everything, so I settled with the complete visual history of Assassin's Creed, just to get a few glimpses out of all of the games that have been published till that point. And then we have something that I actually looked into now and then, Icons by Jim Lee. And it's a big hardcover of the history of Jim Lee, how we got into this industry and everything that's been published DC and Wildstorm wise. Don't think we have any Marvel stuff within this. And then last but not least, for this shelf row, Yu-Gi-Oh! Dual Art. And yeah, trying to get some nice artwork of that. I think I actually have some overview videos of those two. And that's the Dark Horse stuff, basically. Now, I know this is the independent comic book company's bookshelves, but these are an exception. The Graphic Ink editions and the DC Noir editions are way taller books to keep in my regular DC shelves. So I keep them in here, in the bedroom. And haven't bought too many of them. I bought every Graphic Ink that they published, I believe. The Darwin Cook one, Frank Quitely, and Ivan Reyes. And you should never buy this just to read the stories that they've done. Much more if you're appreciative of the artwork and want to know what the writers actually have done when it comes to smaller publishing comic books. But of course, the Graphic Ink by Ivan Reyes is mostly DC Comics, but the Frank Quitely one, you actually get to see some, I believe, British comic books as well that he published. And of course, the Noir editions, we have the Killing Joke, Hush, Black Mirror, and Court of Owls. And Hush, Black Mirror, and Court of Owls, I don't know how many versions I have or am gonna have, because Black Mirror is gonna get an absolute, and I know I'm gonna pick that up. So these 3 story arcs are the ones that I can buy in as many formats as they will publish, and I will buy them because they are good, and that's just how it is. Then we have something, I think this is from the Arkham Origins collector's edition. Anybody remember that video game? Because here we have the artwork book for that game. And that's just our little DC window within the comic book shelves of Independence. And now we have the final books for the independent comic book shelf. Then we go on to the meaty stuff, which is the DC and Marvel stuff. But first off, we have like 5 titles by Rick Remender, with Black Science, Crawl Space, Deadly Class, which I haven't read volume 2 of yet, Low, and Tokyo Ghost. All of them great within themselves. Do think I prefer Black Science and Deadly Class though. And Low, of course, must show you this cover. It's just beautiful. And then we have some Image Top Cow stuff. The Firstborn, Broken Trinity, and Artifacts. And mostly of them has digital painted covers on them. And they each come with a poster and wraparound cover and everything. And inside that is another poster. They did not hold back in the 90s. Clearly. Then we have another Brian K. Vaughan books, Private Eye, which is a what-if story if basically the internet cloud would burst and the information out of everyone got out. So now we all have to disguise ourselves, just so we can still post on internet, I guess. And then Rick and Morty, volumes 1, 2, and 3, which comes with a sound chip. And I don't know if I should open this or if it's just gonna be annoying.
Sound chip, baby, on a comic book. This is futuristic stuff. We got a sound chip up in this cover. Man, I can't believe the sound chip. I can't believe this sound chip.
Yeah, there's the sound chip in each of these volumes, and boy, that must have been annoying to hear. But yeah, there you go. Then we have from Omnipress, Letter 44, deluxe editions, oversized. These are taller than absolute editions. And then we have 5 volumes out of the 6th gun. And I've not yet read the 5th volume here, as you can see. But it is a great read. And leave it at that. And now we can go on to the DC shelf. So these are my absolute editions. And as you know, absolute editions are oversized, and I cannot keep them in my billy shelves at the main shelves. So I keep it over here along with novel books and CDs and whatever stuff. But I take up 2 rows with my absolutes, and these are story arcs that either they're not collected in any other hardcover format, or I adore the story arcs, so I own several iterations of the same story, and so forth. So, first off we have Batman Hush by Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb, and yeah, probably made an overview of this at some point, and of course that's just one of the formats I own it in. And Batman and Robin by Grant Morrison, never getting rid of this. And Absolute Batman Incorporated by Grant Morrison. All of this is going to be collected within the Grant Morrison Batman omnibus at some point, but I enjoy looking at it in the oversized format as well, and as well as the extra material that goes with it that probably won't come with the omnibus. Batman Court of Owls, Scott Snyder. And then 2 Superman Batman absolutes by Jeff Loeb, and really like the first one since it has the Supergirl story arc. And Michael Turner interiors. Really good cover there. And next to it we have we transcend into more Superman books. Superman for Tomorrow by Azzarello and Jim Lee. That is just a pretty book. Nothing you buy to really get a good read out of. If you want a good read, you'll buy All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison and Frank Whiteley. And that's the first row of DC Absolutes. And then on the second row, which takes up the other half, we have Absolute Final Crisis, and now we of course have an omnibus that collects all of the material, but here we have the main storyline by Grant Morrison, and next to it we have a new 52 omnibus, Justice League, Origin, once again, Jim Lee, so I got to have it. Infinite Crisis, Jeff Johns, also collected the omnibus format, but it's such a good story, so I have to own it in every format. Absolute Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chang. Gonna release an omnibus of this, but I'll stay put with the Absolutes just because of the extra material that you get with that book. And also Absolute Authority, volumes 1 and 2, also gonna get an omnibus format, but I'm sticking to these ones. And then we have Absolute Wildcats by Jim Lee. That is probably as much of a stretch as I can go when it comes to my Jim Lee collecting, because it was okay at best. So it's just for my fandom of his artwork. And then last but not least, we have Alex Ross, and I forget the name. Let's see here. World's Greatest Superheroes. Yeah. So here we have it. First top row, I stack my DC deluxe size editions. And yeah, the question you get a lot with having Billy shelves for your hardcovers is, do they bow or bend? And yes, slightly. But I try to keep... these are basically small books compared to the omnibus. Those take up a lot more weight, and so I keep them on the lower shelves, just so if the accident would be there, they don't fall as far. So yeah, that's gonna affect your opinion on me having Billy shelves and you on buying Billy shelves, but yeah, they do slightly bend if you put too much weight on them. But we're for a collection. So first we have Batman Dark Knight Returns, collector's editions. These keeps 4 individual hardcovers, 1 for each issue of the publication of Dark Knight Returns. And then The Last Crusade, which is like a prequel for that. Then I also have the Dark Knight Returns Deluxe Edition, which also collects the Dark Knight Strikes Again, which I've read once and I'm never gonna read it again. I just keep this to have a single story in one format. So I own it in several formats. There's one more book coming up. Arkham Asylum by Grant Morrison. This is gonna get a Absolute edition soon, and not picking it up. I'm very fine with having it in deluxe size. Arkham Asylum Living Hell, Dan Slott. Batman Noel, Lee Bermejo. Should really get to read this now when it's around Christmas, actually. And Batman Deathstroke After the Fire, more Azzarello stuff. Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Deluxe Edition. And of course, Killing Joke, standard. Batman Adventures Mad Love. And then Batman, Harley and Ivy. I have those two next to each other just because, yeah, animated format. Actually watching that as I'm filming this, or in between episodes at least. Batman The Dark Prince Charming, book 1 and 2. Also picked up the deluxe edition, but it has not yet arrived as of this video. The Batman Year 1 deluxe edition, finally. Just a simple hardcover of Batman Year 1, so you can grab it out and read whenever you want. And next to it, I'm just gonna gather all the other Year 1s, like Robin Year 1, and the upcoming year we're gonna get a Batgirl Year 1 hardcover. And here's something that we're gonna see a lot throughout the collection. Another Batman Hush edition. This is the 15-year anniversary edition with new Jim Lee cover and everything. And just keep on trucking. And we have Batman Noir Eduardo Rizzo deluxe edition and the actual colored version. So both of these books collect the exact same material, but the other one is just in black and white and the other one is in color. Batman Two-Face, Face the Face deluxe edition takes place right before Grant Morrison's omnibus actually start off. Then we also have Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader and Return of Bruce Wayne. This is going to be collected within the second omnibus by Grant Morrison's Batman run. Batman Dark Knight Golden Dawn by David Finch, just David Finch artwork. Damien, Son of Batman by Andy Kubert, and then of course we have the Scott Snyder event Metal, and a hardcover book that is highly underrated and a story that is underrated, Batwoman Elegy by Greg Rucka, same writer as Lazarus and such things, and yeah, just great. And there are, I believe this is greater than the Nif 2 stuff. Deathblow, my Jim Lee obsession. I don't even know why I keep this. Then we have Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Hard Traveling Heroes. Good stories. Of course, they mark a special time within the comic book industry, so upgraded that. Then Jeff Lemire Green Arrow, signed also by Jeff Lemire at the same event as Sweet Tooth. Then Harley Quinn, Volume 1, out of Dodson Run, waiting for Volume 2. JLA Year 1, also signed by Barry Kitson, actually this year, so it's just simple signature. JLA Earth 2, and also Kingdom Come 20th Anniversary Edition, which got a recent re-release of the Absolute format, but I'm fine with Deluxe Edition. New Frontier by Darwin Cook. Not for me, but I keep it just for a second read to see if I like it better that time. Crisis on Infinite Earths by Mark Wolfman and George Perez is of course best team for that era. Identity Crisis by Meltzer and Morales, and Multiversity by Grant Morrison. Superman Unchained, Jim Lee and Scott Snyder. And of course Alan Moore's Watchmen, because that is basically in everyone's collection. So on the second row we start off with more Batman books again. Shadow of Dreams, manga Batman book actually. And next to it some of my prized possessions, which is the Batman leather-bound books by Longmeadow Press. So this is Frank Miller, complete collection at that time, because this was published in 1989. So it has Batman Year 1, Wanted Santa Claus, Dead or Alive, and Dark Knight Returns. And of course, that's not in focus. But yeah, leather-bound, silver lining on the pages and everything. It's just, I bought all of the other Dark Knight Returns versions in Year 1 just so I wouldn't have to meddle too much with this book, just because they're fragile. And the Joker stacked deck, it published the same year, gold lining on the pages, and early Joker stories. And then goes on with standard size editions. So Batman Harley Quinn, based on some online comics. Joker by Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermeo. And this crap. I still haven't given this a second read, but I still keep it because of artwork. Because reference. And yeah, one day I might reread this, and this comes up now and then on Frank Miller and Jim Lee finishing this series off, but I don't know. Is it even worth it at this point? Batman Dark Knight Master Race. And I am one of the few that actually liked this, I think. But yeah, I picked it up single issue after single issue, and then I picked up this completed edition just for easier read experience. Batman and the Outsiders. Really like this actually, and we're gonna publish a third hardcover volume next year, so look forward for that. Batman Europa, different artists on each issue, just 4 issues, and the first one is of course Jim Lee, just to draw you in. Batman Rules of Engagement by Diggle, and then we have the 2 Batman by Doug Mensch hardcovers that fills up the gap in between Batman Nightfall and Batman No Man's Land. And then again, what have we here? Batman Hush, volumes 1 and 2. This is the first hardcover format they published Hush in. And then if you picked up the Grant Morrison Batman Omnibus Volume 1, you might have missed some of the stories within this one. This is the Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul. And then we have lots of Batman hardcovers when Dick Grayson took over the title. So you have Long Shadows. Time in the Batman is actually Bruce Wayne, but Battle for the Cow, Life After Death, and the Eye of the Beholder. Batman Bruce Wayne, The Road Home. And Batman Robin Dark Knight versus White Knight. I bought this just because this completes the Grant Morrison's Batman Robin run, but it just isn't collected within the Absolute because it's not Grant Morrison's writing. And then we have, I think, one of the first Batman hardcovers that I actually picked up, and that is Batman Black Mirror by Scott Snyder. And my very first impression of his writing, and also the very best. And there is no doubt that I am gonna pick up the Absolute editions once it is released. Then my first Gail Simone experience, which I think is Birds of Prey end run, and also picked up the second hardcover, Death of Oracle, and solid read, and it's Gail Simone, of course. Then we have Blackest Night hardcovers, Green Lantern Corps, and Black Lantern Corps, and so on. This collects every tie-in that was going on during that event, and we're gonna get an omnibus of this as well, but I'm still keeping these just to have easier access to certain storylines. I guess if I want to reread JSA at some point, then I don't have to flip through the whole Blackest Night omnibus just to find the 3 issues that I want to find. Just have to look into this one, and so forth. That's my thinking about it. But yeah, other big events, Dark Days here, metal tie-ins. So this is a prequel, and these are the miniseries of all of the different Batmen and Batwomen alternate versions that appears within the event. This DC Comics sequential art of Amanda Connor, and then Flash Rebirth by Jeff Johns. I don't know how many times I've reread that book, but I think it's the best Flash book that I actually have read. And yeah, that says a lot, because there's a lot of good Flash story arcs out there, but I think Rebirth actually is the best one. It reintroduces the character of Barry Allen very well. and as well as the extended family. So we have Road to Flashpoint, The Dastardly Death of the Rogues, and then Flashpoint. Heroes, which is 2 volumes compiled of online comic books into the hardcover, and I'm a big fan of that show, but I'm not a big fan of those miniseries, but I still keep them. And then, of course, another version of Infinite Crisis. This is simply a standard size hardcover volume. And then we begin with Justice League of America, which is picking up where JLA left off in the 90s and early 2000s. And then we go on to the next row. And here on this row we have the last of these standard size hardcovers, and then, as you can see, the omnibus. So the last volumes of Justice League of America run, and they're not numbered, so I had to look up on the internet which order to have them in. Then we have Justice League Cry for Justice by James Robinson, which I really want to reread someday, but who has the time? Justice League Rise and Fall, good Green Arrow storyline. Justice League Generation Lost, volumes 1 and 2. Really good read, and since I've read Justice League International, now I get a better feeling for these books. And Titans Old Friends, recently read this just because I read everything with Teen Titans after I've read the Mark Wolfman George Perez run. And 0 Hour, Crisis in Time, yet another DC Crisis book. This is such a small event, so it's only got a standard size hardcover. Wonder Woman by John Byrne, and then we have Wonder Woman Odyssey by J. Michael Straczynski. And then Batman Omnibus. So, quickly now, I have not read any of these, actually. Yep, one. I've read the Neil Adams Omnibus, but not Odyssey. I'm not reading that crap again. So I did own the Batman Odyssey hardcover, got rid of it. It is collected within this one, but I have not read it. But I've read all the other material. So, Batman 66 Omnibus, looking forward for this. Batman Arkham Saga Omnibus, it's big, but I want to read it. And Batman by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Of course, I've read the Batman stuff, but I've not read the Catwoman When in Rome story arc that is collected with this one. And then we have, of course, Neil Adams Omnibus, and then Batman Nightfall Trilogy, volumes 1, 2, and 3. And I'm currently reading volume 1. And then, of course, Batman by Grant Morrison Omnibus, volume 1. And as we know, out of 3. Next row of DC Omnibus, more stuff taking place. Batman and Robin by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. I did own the regular sized hardcover, but I got rid of those because this is just fine collected with this one. And then I think we are done with Batman Omnibus and just keep on with alphabetical order as well as I can with 52, it's just a number, so have that first. Brightest Day Omnibus, DC 1 Million Omnibus by Grant Morrison, Deathstroke, the New 52 Omnibus. I'm actually looking forward to rereading this because I followed it in single issue format. And then, of course, Final Crisis 10th Anniversary Omnibus. That is gonna take some time depending on how good the tie-ins are. I read the whole event in just one sitting otherwise. The Flash Omnibus by Jeff Johns, volumes 1, 2, and 3. Really good read, but Rebirth is still his best stuff. Then Flash Omnibus by Francis Manipul and Brian Buccellato. Then, of course, Green Lantern by Jeff Johns, volumes 1, 2, and 3, collecting his whole Green Lantern work. And what's noticeable about this row is, I guess, the 2 Infinite Crisis Omnibus. So yes, I am one of those people that actually hunted down and paid way too much money for a first print. If that makes you feel any better, you're welcome. But at the time, it was like the biggest thing you could get. And I'm still happy with it. I'm gonna sell it off, probably. For retail, I don't know. I'm still glad that I've read it. It's one of the best reads that I have with a DC event. And it's probably my most favorite one, just because I have it in 4 different formats. Or something. Grayson, Super Spy Omnibus, another 52 Omnibus, and or new 52 series, I mean. And Gotham Central, Brubaker, Harlequin, Gotham City Sirens, and then the Amanda Connor Harlequin, waiting for Volume 2 to arrive, and Hawkman, Volumes 1, Infinite Crisis, I mentioned that one, Justice League International Omnibus Volume 1, looking forward for a second volume because that was a very good read. And then JSA by Jeff Johns, Volumes 1, 2, and 3. Great read. I think my favorite is definitely Volume 2 because it had such strong story arcs with all the characters and characters that I never even heard about, but started to care about really much. And next to the corner, Justice League, the Darkseid Wars Saga, Omnibus by Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok. And then lastly, for the first shelf of DC Comics, yes, there is another shelf. We have Planetary Omnibus by Warren Ellis and John Cassaday. Great read, and you can either read just one issue and just be done with it, or several ones. It's, I don't know how to describe it. It's, you can jump in anywhere and still get it. But I highly recommend you read the whole thing instead of just picking up single issues. And then we have Seven Soldiers by Grant Morrison. A upgrade for me because I used to have the standard size hardcovers. And Superman Exile and Other Stories. That was a quick read. And Death and Return of Superman, also at that. Just because there's you just want to get to the meaty stuff. I mean, the things that has been adapted to the animated series and everything, and movies and everything in several iterations. And then, of course, we have the new Teen Titans Omnibus Volumes 1, 2, and 3, and are getting more of as of next year. And then Teen Titans by Jeff Johns, which for the longest time was the biggest omnibus that I had, but I think the Final Crisis Omnibus or the Crisis on Infinite Earths actually is thicker. And then, last but not least, the Wonder Woman by George Perez. Okay, so clearly here starts the new 52 shelf, and I've color-coded it and then ordered by either alphabetical or by character. And first off is Superman, but I actually go by the title Action Comics, so that's why it is the first one. I can't really pull out Volume 1, but it's Grant Morrison's run, together with Rags Morales, and Grant Morrison was on that title for the first 3 volumes, so that's why I picked them up. And then, I always forget, but I have this book. It's the Superman Wonder Woman, Volume 1. I think they went for several more volumes, but only the first one actually caught my attention with the Tony S. Daniel artwork. And then, of course, we have, yet again, Batman, The Court of Owls, with Scott Snyder run. And yeah, I have on this row volumes 1 to 6 of Snyder run. It continues on the next row, and I'm gonna explain why I split them up and everything. Then we have Batman Detective Comics with Tony S. Daniel on the first volumes. Heard some rumors about a omnibus or oversized deluxe edition, at least. And then we have a very underrated title, I would say, is The Dark Knight by David Finch. And yeah, with this title they dwell more into the villain's story. And for example Mad Hatter, Cycle Button. I believe Night of Terrors did have the Scarecrow story arc. We have Clay, which is of course Clayface, and yeah, it only went 4 volumes also. That's a shame actually. And then next to it, something that everybody should read just because it is damn good run by Gail Simone, and that is Batgirl. And I stuck to the 5 first volume of Batgirl before they reinvented her in some sort of way and made her go back to college, which I thought was very out of character because she, my god, she's a super genius. Why would she need to go back to college? And then we have J.H. Williams III, Batwoman. And Hydrology is, of course, the most beautiful painted one out of the volumes, and I kept for the first 4 volumes that they printed into a hardcover before they went along with all this no marriage thing in DC and everything. And then we have Batman Superman, Crossworld by Greg Pak and Jay Lee. Great story, I would say. The first 3 volumes are really strong in this series, so you have also Game Over and The Second Chance. And if you do appreciate Jay Lee artwork, you really enjoy this. Others would say that he's kind of boring, no backgrounds or anything, and I don't know, but I like it. And then we have just the companion books, the Batman Night of Owls, Joker Death of the Family, and 0 Year, which is all the tie-in issues on other non-Bat related titles within the DC. And then we have the Red Bind books, the Earth 2, first, or the complete collection actually, 6 volumes it ran for, and I only read this once, and it's James Robinson, and I liked earlier stuff that he did on Justice League, and I remember liking this very much. It's very wordy, I would say. It's a lot of monologue or dialogue, but it's a good read nonetheless, and it's a different universe, Justice League and all. Then we have The Flash, just 2 volumes here, just because the omnibus collects the first 4, so I sold the first 4, just because I don't need to have The Flash in a double dip situation. So yeah, history lessons and out of time. Simple. And then we have Forever Evil, which is one of the greater events in recent years from DC. Right now we have the Heroes on Crisis, and we still don't know how that ends. And of course, Doomsday Clock, and I haven't even pulled that in single issues, and yeah, we'll see where that comes from. Justice League of America, and then the Justice League by Jeff Johns and Jim Lee, and that I made certain to have collected all in the standard size editions. And here's yet again that cover, Justice League Volume 1 Origin. And on this next shelf we have the last ones of the Justice League, the Injustice League, and Trinity War, which is really a prologue into Forever Evil, but a good one of that, I would say. And then came Convergence, which was most people's opinion not a great event, and totally understand that, but I enjoyed it. And yeah, with that they also changed up the spines, and me being the way I am, I need to have it color organized and everything. So then I started having the later volumes, and Convergence being red, I just keep on following with the red books. So we have Flash, Justice League, and Wonder Woman, the rest of the volumes. And Wonder Woman, as you saw earlier, had in the Absolute, so we actually have a complete collection of Wonder Woman in one way or another in any form. But of course, the highlights with these books is the Justice League Darkseid War Saga, which is also collected into an omnibus now. And yeah, I just want to have this in several formats depending on how I want to read the story. And then of course Wonder Woman by Meredith and David Finch. And then we have the rest of Snyder run, just with a different spine now. And the Batman run is the only one that took up 10 volumes in the New 52. In hardcover, that is. And then we have Brian Buccellato's Detective Comics to volume 9. And then the rest of Greg Pak's Batman Superman run up to volume 6. And then 2 more companion hardcovers for Joker Endgame, all the tie-ins to that event, and then Robin War, which is kind of Grayson-centric, I guess. And then we delve into a whole different universe, and that is the Earth 1 books. So we have Batman Earth 1, volumes 1 and 2, Green Lantern Earth 1, Superman, Teen Titans, and Wonder Woman. And I've still not received my package, which keeps Wonder Woman Earth 1, volume 2. But it'll arrive sooner or later. And my favorite still is the Superman books out of these. Of course, not all of these have finished off their story, but the Superman ones are really strong, in my opinion. And here we have all of the white spine books, basically. And I tried to line them up with the Marvel books, actually, on the other shelf that has the white spines as well. So, yeah, that's how I think when I try to organize this. But yeah, to the farthest left, we have the Dark Knight Master Race Collector's Edition, which has the 9 individual issues in each in a hardcover deluxe edition size format. And don't think I can grab that out. But next to it, we have all of the unwrapped editions that DC has released. And first, we have the 2 Hush volumes. So this is the first printing, and this is the second reprint, which has some updates on some of the artwork. I think I remember Jim Lee mentioning that in one of his Twitch streams. That's a difficult word for me, apparently. But yeah, then we have Andy Kubert, Tony Daniel, David Finch, Snyder, and Greg Capullo, with both Death of a Family and Court of Owls. So they are out of order. And Flashpoint with Andy Kubert's artwork, Flash, Fred Manipool, and Justice League Unwrapped by Jim Lee once again. So that's probably the 3rd or 4th version I have of that one. And yeah, basically every unwrapped version that DC has released in the latest 5 years is on this shelf. And then we begin with what's current in DC, and that is Rebirth. And so we have the first Rebirth Deluxe Edition here, and then another event, The Button, and then we just go by alphabetical order. So we have Batman, Batman Detective Comics, Flash Rebirth, Harley Quinn, Justice League. Only pick up Justice League if you're a completionist. I'm just telling. Justice League of America, Nightwing, Suicide Squad, Superman, Action Comics, and regular Superman title. And as you can see, most of these titles has released 2 or 3 volumes as of now. And there's more on the way right now for future haul videos. And most of it is actually very worth your while to read, I would say. As I said, Justice League by Brian Hitch, maybe not. And I'm a bit iffy on the Harley Quinn. But all the other titles, great. Even Suicide Squad picked up in the 2nd volume. And Superman, never thought I would like so much, but I guess that's the Tomasi Gleason team that's getting me over. And that's it for that shelf. And then we have just the smallest of section left with the rest of the Rebirth books that I've currently picked up. And that is Wonder Woman volumes 1 and 2. That is also a great series to check out. And then we have All-Star Batman. Don't know why they would reuse that title, but it's Snyder and Albuquerque. I do believe. Yes, Albuquerque signed that one. Then we have Trinity, Better Together and Dead Space, which actually made it into hardcovers. I don't know why the rest of the run didn't, which is sad because I really want to keep on reading that. And Batman Night of Monster Men, which is just a Batman crossover event, just trying to bring out new talents and everything. Justice League versus Suicide Squad, which was okay, good artwork at least, Jason Fabok and all. Superman Reborn, you don't actually have to get this one if you are just picking up both Superman titles, but I didn't know. And then the Titans Lazarus Contract crossover. And next up is the paperbacks. Okay, so these are the paperbacks, and as you know, I try not to buy paperbacks, but these are just stories that I really, really want to read, and if this is the only way to collect them, I'll buy them. And farthest to the left, we have something that I haven't touched for years, but I did pick it up just because of the Grant Morrison run, and that is the Batman Black Casebook, which collects just old gold and silver age Batman stories that he took inspiration from to write his Batman run. And then we have Gotham by Gaslight by Magnola. It's a very thin paperback. Then The Birth of a Demon, The Man Who Laughs by Ed Brubaker, A Death in the Family, which is by Jim Starlin and Mark Wolfman and George Perez, and that's The Death of Jason Todd. Come on, you knew that already. And then Batman Contagion and Batman Legacy, volumes 1 and 2, paperbacks. These thicker ones I have no problem picking up because these are great to have in your lap when you read them. And then Batman Cataclysm, Road to No Man's Land, and No Man's Land, which I've had forever in this collection. It is a great story event. And then we have Batman by Ed Brubaker again, volumes 1 and 2. And I believe volume 2 is mostly a double dip, because I think most of that material is collected within the Batman Bruce Wayne Fugitive. And before that is Bruce Wayne Murderer. And then an event that, oh my god, I hope they would give it an absolute, give it a deluxe edition, give it an omnibus. I would like to have Batman War Games collected in a hardcover format, because this is some of the greatest Batman stuff I've read and got me into Stephanie Brown and everything, and really started liking her as a character and her whole Robin deal and everything. And yeah, it just took me by surprise when I read that the first time. And then we have Batman Under the Red Hood and Red Hood Lost Days, just because you want to get as much Red Hood story as you could. And then two of the first books that I ever picked up with this hobby, and that's the Batman Beyond, the Hush Beyond and Industrial Revolution. This was way before I ever read the original Hush story arc, so I had no idea what Hush really was about. And then we have some New 52 stuff, and I can actually slide over there so you can see. The Batman Eternal volumes 1, 2, and 3, New 52 Futures End, and Earth 2 Worlds, and all of those three were weekly series being released all at the same time almost, and my favorite one was definitely Futures End. It's just such a shame for that ending that's not really an ending. You actually had to keep on reading Batman Beyond in order to get a full ending for that story, or if you ever did. But yeah, they perfected the formula with Batman and Robin Eternal, volumes 1 and 2. That's the one you want to read amongst all of those. And then, of course, as I said, Batgirl. So here we have volumes 1 and 2, which I can now see is out of order. But I'll fix that later, believe me. And Huntress, year 1, just because I actually like her as a character, but there's not too many story arcs out there with her collected. And then the whole JLA series, volumes 1 to 9, as you can see there. Justice League of America, The Rise of Eclipso. This never made it into a hardcover, so I picked that up just to have a complete run of the Justice League. I think I have everything from the late 90s and current. And then Wonder Woman by Greg Rucka, and then Deathstroke and Red Hood and the Outlaws in trade paperback format, just because it was a gift from a friend. And now, last but not least, let's check out the Marvel books. And here we are with the Marvel shelf. And yeah, the order here is out of control, really. I don't really know how to organize this because I'm running out of space on my Marvel shelf. And I've actually sold a lot of stuff, but yet somehow I keep up buying more. And yeah, that's an understatement. But we have the original Marvel graphic novels here farthest to the left, the Avengers Rage of Ultron and Amazing Spider-Man Family Business, which is by Gabriel Deloro. And I remember this being a really good story. It's about Peter Parker's long-lost sister. So maybe you want to pick it up if you find that interesting. Then we have Astonishing X-Men by Joss Whedon and John Cassaday. This was a really good gateway into X-Men, and it takes place right after the new X-Men by Grant Morrison, which I also have the omnibus of. So it's nice to have that run collected next to each other. Don't have too many X-Men books, and I'm not gonna get too many X-Men books also. I'm just saying that now. Mighty Avengers, pretty much a different team in each of these volumes. We assemble Secret Invasion and Dark Reign, so each of them dwells into a event. And that's the same thing for the new Avengers. Here we have the deluxe size editions that collects the material after the volume 1 omnibus by Brian Michael Bendis. So forever I searched for volume 4 and I didn't even know how the cover looked. So this is how the cover looks if you're on the hunt for it, so you know what to look for. Then we have Secret War, Dark Avengers and Siege. Those were pretty much event after event, and very much enjoyed Dark Avengers with Norman Osborn being in front center there, with all different kind of villains taking up hero mantles. Then we have Secret Wars, which is by, of course, Hickman, and that is just to tie in with the Avengers Hickman run. Then we have Daredevil End of Days by Bendis, which is the definitive ending of Daredevil. I would think he wrote the last Daredevil story at least, and it's a good one. And then we have just 3 of my Iron Man books, which is the best stories out there, I believe. So it's Iron Man Extremis by Ellis, and then we have Matt Fraction's Incredible Iron Man run, collected in 2 volumes here. Then we have Brian Michael Bendis' Moon Knight, and I had no perspective at all on Moon Knight, so I bought it and thoroughly enjoyed it. Then we have Tom King's The Vision. Read it once, and I do need to make a second read of it, but I remember it being very entangling, actually, and very special. Yeah, that's all I have to say for it for now. Then we have X-Men Endangered Species, which I picked up in Stockholm last time. And Star Wars Darth Vader by Charles Soule. Spider-Man Blue, greatest Spider-Man story. And then, of course, the Spider-Man books. We have the Marvel Knight Spider-Man, which is this one here. Forget which one's the writer on it. But it's just 12 issues and it's supposed to be a more mature read of Spider-Man, but it's actually pretty tame and equal to the normal Amazing Spider-Man title. Then we have the Best of Spider-Man by J. Michael Straczynski, volumes 1 to 5, which is getting an omnibus reprint, which I am getting. But I won't sell these off because these keeps material that is not collected within that omnibus. But it's nice to have a nicer format of it, just because the binding in this volume 1 is shot to hell. And then we have the Spider-Man The Other, Evolve or Die, Spider-Man Civil War, which was a huge thing for me back then to get a hold of, and Spider-Man Back in Black. And then we delve into this is chronological, but here is a major jump to Spider Island and the Spider Island Companion. And I think I said this the last time, the Spider-Man Island Companion really showed to me how little I actually care about the other Marvel characters but Spider-Man. But I guess it could have been just bad writing on the tie-ins themselves. But yeah, going on with more Spider-Man on the next shelf. Oh, so you can see on this shelf there's just Spider books. And that's how it should be with my Marvel collection. And a statue that I was given from my brother on Christmas. I believe it was last year, actually. And the custom-made Spider-Man bookends, which is doing their job. We have the last deluxe edition for Spider-Man released, and that is, or not really, but yeah, for this run, Spider-Man Ends of the Earth. And then we have standard size collections. So we have Return of a Burglar, which has not yet been collected within a omnibus, so keep that. And then just a good story, which is the death of Jean DeWolf. And the whole thing about the Sin Eater and everything. And it's actually a important story when it comes into the Venom origin. Spider-Man Reign, which is actually a type of Dark Knight Returns aspect on Spider-Man. And then we have the always controversial story of this Spider-Man One More Day. Oops, sorry, bumped the camera. But yeah, well spoken about? Not really. But yeah, what spun out of One More Day, Brand New Day, and all of these books. I think I enjoy all of this. I read through all of this at one point in my life, and it was just great drama. I think this is what really dwelled me into that, thinking of Spider-Man as great drama. And I think the title was releasing 2 or 3 issues a month when we released all of this. So we have the good stuff here. We have the Brand New Day volumes, first 3 here. Let's see here, New Ways to Die, the origin of Anti-Venom. I remember liking the Election Day with Menace and everything. We have the, let's see here, the Gauntlet, of course. Remember liking the Rhino stories the most. And then we have One Moment in Time actually brought up the One More Day stuff once again, but I remember liking it still. And then of course Big Time, which started off the Dan Slott and Humberto Ramos era. And yeah, Dying Wish and everything. And then we go into Superior Spider-Man on the next shelf. And here, as you can see, we have the white spine books on the oversized deluxe editions and omnibus from Marvel. And starting off, we have the Superior Spider-Man volumes 1 to 3. Then we have the Amazing Spider-Man volumes 1 and 2, in whichever volume this is when they restarted the numbering and everything, which ends up with Spider-Verse. And then we have Amazing Spider-Man Worldwide, volumes 1, 2, and 3. And then the Clone Conspiracy, deluxe edition in between. And then running up that run with the Amazing Spider-Man Red Goblin. So I wonder how the design is going to look for the current Nick Spencer run. Gonna be interesting. Then Spider-Man volumes 1 and 2. With that Wonder Woman order, I actually am waiting for volume 3 as well. And Spider-Man is just great. Avengers by Jonathan Hickman. Good stuff. But I would say volume 2 reads way faster than volume 1. It's a lot of build-up for this event and everything leading into Secret Wars. And of course, Jonathan Hickman has built up to this ever since his Fantastic Four run, which I've not read. So there's a lot of planning into that. And the guy can clearly write stuff and sci-fi. Then we have Carnage Omnibus, which I end up liking very much because of certain miniseries and whatnot. And Daredevil by Mark Waid, volumes 1 and 2. Really good read. Ms. Marvel. And hoping for a volume 2 of that soon. Spider-Man Tangled Web. Superior Foes of Spider-Man by Nick Spencer once again. Ultimate Comics Avengers. And Ultimate Comics Doomsday and Divided We Fall as the events for the Ultimate Universe. And that's really everything that goes in that shelf when it comes to White Spines and events and Omnibus. So more of the Ultimate Universe actually on the next shelf. So here, as you can see, I actually kept my Ultimate Fantastic Four volumes 1 to 6, and I'm uncertain now if they collect all of the Fantastic Four material that they released in Ultimate Universe, or if it's just to a certain point. But I remember enjoying volumes 1, 2, and 3, because volume 3 had all the zombie stuff in it, but then kind of went to trying to rewrite classic galactic stories within the Ultimate Universe, but kind of felt flat. But no biggie. What's important with the Ultimate Universe is the Ultimate Spider-Man. And as you can see here, I've collected volumes 4 to 12 in the deluxe size editions, and Mark Bagley and Michael Bendis is the dream team for this title. There could be no better. And I've only read these books once. I can't believe it. It's just that I have new books always to read. But once I get to reread these, I'm going to enjoy every single issue of them. Because these are some of the best Spider-Man stories that I ever read. I remember liking this very much. And also the Clone Wars or Clone Saga version of the Ultimate Universe was very good. Volume 8 took forever to get a hold of. I don't know which one is the hard to get right now, but Volume 8 took forever to get. Here's the Clone Saga one. And it just keeps on going. And I'm very happy to get a hold of the Ultimates volumes 1 and 2. There's a volume 3, but I heard that that's not really well spoken about. I think it has the Rob Liefeld Captain America image, the one with him standing there with his shield and everything is out of proportion and everything. Yeah, I don't really know, but yeah. Cataclysm, the Ultimate's Last Stand. I think that's the last big event for the Ultimate Universe before Secret Wars and everything. Then, as you can see, we have paperbacks of Spider-Man, nonetheless. And just gonna slide you over there so you can see. And yeah, the original Clone Saga, which is gonna be collected now in the 4th Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus, but I still keep this for now. And then the complete Alien Costume Saga, volumes 1 and 2. And then all of the, till now, for this video, released Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collections. So these are spread out all over the board. I think we have, yeah, these are the first 3 volumes, so they are clearly double dips being collected within the omnibus. And Goblin's Last Stand, that'll be collected within the new omnibus. And Craven's Last Hunt, Venom, Cosmic Adventures, yeah. Return of Sinister Six. Pretty much everything of this is in omnibus format, but I want to have it in this format as well, just to have it all collected within one format. Civil War and Spider-Man Noir, which is within the first books that I actually bought within this hobby, going back 6 years now. And I would really like to have hardcovers of these one day, but they're really hard to find. And then we have a new book here, which is The Marvel Knights by Joe Quesada, which is basically a Daredevil omnibus. Speaking of, last of it, all of it omnibus. So here we have the first out of 2 complete, full stacked Marvel omnibus shelves, and I never thought I would own this many different titles more than Spider-Man when it comes to Marvel, but I've been recommended so many great things throughout the years, and what I like I keep, and that is why they are on the shelves. Everything that you've seen through this video, I enjoyed them, and that's why I keep them to reread one day. And yeah, starting off with Alias by Brian Michael Bendis and Gatos on artwork or the covers. Beautiful and excellent story, and I hope more people can read it. The show does a fair interpretation of it, I would say. Then we have New Avengers by Bendis, and which of course collected the first 3 volumes there, and the rest is in deluxe edition if you want to read the rest, and of course it all has paperback formats now. Then we have Ed Brubaker's The Epting Captain America run, which was a great 2 weeks read for me, probably the best, and I don't think I need to read any more Captain America. This is enough, because it's just that great, and it's pure. I want to keep this image of Captain America for me, because this is pure gold. And then Frank Miller Daredevil and The Companion, and controversial opinion, I actually prefer the omnibus over The Companion, but now having seen Daredevil Season 3, I'd really like to reread The Companion one day for the... now I forget the title. Somebody will comment that. Daredevil by Ed Brubaker, Shadowland, which I guess was not the strongest one out of Daredevils, but strong again with Mark Waid run. Daredevil, or what am I saying? Star Wars Darth Vader by Gillen, really good run. And then we have the Hulk, Planet Hulk, and World War Hulk. New X-Men by Grant Morrison. Try to read as many Grant Morrison hero stuff as I can. And Runaways by Brian K. Vaughan. And Secret Invasion by Brian Michael Bendis. And yeah, one more shelf to go. So here we are in front of the last shelf of omnibus, and with the exception of the Elektra by Frank Miller and Bill Sienkiewicz omnibus there to the left, just because I couldn't fit them all if I didn't place it there. These are all of my Spider-Man omnibus. And just one is missing out of the ones that Marvel has published, and that is the Untold Tales of Spider-Man. But knowing that it's written within the 80s or 90s, somewhere there in between, I don't think I would enjoy those stories as much, so this is plenty enough. And of course we have the Amazing Spider-Man volumes 1, 2, and 3 by Stan Lee and John Romita and Steve Ditko as artists, John Buscema and Gil Kane also. Then we have Roger Stern omnibus, which is the one I picked up first in one of my In Stock Trades haul videos. the David Michelini and Todd McFarlane omnibus, and the cover is, for me sadly, the red suit one, but the paperback at least has the black suit one, which I think looks better. And Dave Michelini, Eric Larson omnibus, and the Spider-Man vs. Venom omnibus, which I haven't got a chance to open up yet, but I bet there's a lot of double-dipping material in this one. The Todd McFarlane Spider-Man omnibus, just regular titled Spider-Man. The Clone Saga volumes 1 and 2, which is getting the Ben Reilly saga as well. So that'll be two more volumes, which I cannot wait for, because it's actually going to bridge more of my Amazing Spider-Man issues together. And then we have some of the Ultimate stuff. Ultimate Spider-Man, my Brian Michael Bendis collecting the first 3 volumes. Therefore, a complete collection of that, with the death of Spider-Man within the Ultimate Universe, and then that going into Miles Morales' Ultimate Spider-Man. And last but not least, we have Venom, the Venomnibus Volume 1, which is getting a Volume 2, which is ridiculous. But if it would ever get a Volume 3, that means the Rick Remender run and other stuff, which would be awesome of them to collect in that format. And with that, that has been my graphic novel collection update for this year. And I hope you liked it, hope you enjoyed, because I'm not going to do this within another 2 years, because this is starting to get ridiculous. We'll see. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in another video. Bye bye.